Well, hello there, my little beauty fiend. If you're new here, my name is Cheyenne, and in today's video we're going to be comparing my makeup from 2015 to now. Oh, 2015 was a stage in my life. I wore my makeup much differently back then, as you can see by Let's get started. I'm going to be doing 2015 makeup on the left side of my face and 2021 makeup on the right. I lost my voice. So first thing we're going to be doing is priming the face. So back in 2015, my go-to primer was the Becca Backlight. It was a very glowy, dewy finish primer, and I don't have that, but I do have Revolution Pro's Beam Dream that I'm going to be using on the left side of my face. I feel like if Becca Backlight and Too Faced Coconut Primer had a baby, the Revolution Beam Dream would be that baby. I do feel like I'm probably going to be using this primer more often throughout the summer since it gives that beautiful dewy finish. You can already see the difference between the sides. 2021 Cheyenne uses the Pretty Filter Sherbet Primer. It is non-silicone, but it gives that like really silicone-y feel. So if you like a pore filling primer, this is the one to use. I have a lot of texture in my skin, so that is why I go with this product, because it just kind of soothes everything out and makes like a perfect base for foundation. So next I'm going to be using Urban Decay's All Nighter Foundation in shade 2.5. This actually I will be using all over my face. I used this when I worked at Sephora in 2015, and I use this now. It is such a good foundation and I just really love it. But we're gonna change up brushes. For 2015, Cheyenne used a very dense foundation brush. It is a full coverage foundation brush. Now I really like to stick to either a beauty blender or a fluffy buffing brush. This was my go-to brush to use on clients when I was doing makeovers at Sephora. I loved it. Now I'm not really a fan of it. It still gives that full coverage. I'm just gonna try to blend everything out nice and smooth as possible. And back in 2015, I had terrible skin. Not that my skin is great right now, but 2015 Cheyenne had really bad acne, a lot of scarring. I was working on a skincare routine, so I wore a lot of foundation. So now I'm going to be using a buffing brush to kind of just gently buff everything out. I feel like with the buffing brush I can use less product and still get that full coverage look, and I just feel like it sits better on the skin. I don't know if you guys can already see a difference. I definitely see a difference in how everything's sitting on my skin. I feel like this is still really good coverage, but it doesn't feel quite as heavy as this side. So now we're going to be concealing, and I use a much different technique now. So let's start with 2015 Cheyenne and compare. So I did the triangle. I did a lot of concealer, and now do a little bit right there and a little bit down the side of my nose. Using the same brush for foundation on both sides and just tapping everything out. And I always bring a little bit of that concealer right onto the lid to act as a base. I feel like I'm struggling to like get everything nice and blended on this side. It's super heavy. Alright, let's do this side. So just gently blending everything out. So I don't know if you guys can already see a difference. I already feel like this side is way more natural looking than this side. I feel like this is like so much makeup already. So I'm going to be using my NYX HD setting powder to set my entire face. That has not changed at all in the last 6 years. So I am just going to apply that all over. 2015 Cheyenne did like to bake, so I'm going to be using my Essence Brighten Up powder, which is completely broken, but we're gonna use it to bake, so it doesn't really matter. And generally in 2015 I only use this technique right underneath my eyes, so we are done with that. I was not a big fan of contouring and highlighting back in 2015, but I did love bronzing, and I stuck to either the Milani bronzer or the Benefit bronzer that we sold at Sephora. I'm just picking up some bronzer on a big fluffy brush and applying it right underneath my cheekbones, and I generally brought it straight across and kind of rounded it. Yeah, this is still technically contouring, but more along the lines of just bronzing and really trying to warm up that face. I already hate this. And I would just bronze around the hairline, and I would bronze the top of the nose, really giving that warm summer feel. Now I actually like to do a cream and powder contour, so I'm going to be using the NYX Wonder Stick. I personally hate the highlight shade on this. I just use this for the contour shade, and even then the contour shade's kind of iffy. So I'm going to be, instead of applying down lower like I did here and doing a round shape, I'm going to be applying much higher and bringing it straight down and about right here as well. And using my fluffy buffer brush, I'm just going to buff this down to my neckline and get everything nice and blended in. And for this, I'm going to be blending upwards, a little bit back and forth, making sure I'm not curving and just really doing that straight line. And then adding a little bit of my concealer right underneath, and that's just going to make it much sharper and get that really angular shape that I'm trying to go for. It is really subtle right now, so I'm going to be going in with the Pro Glow To Go kit by Tarte to sharpen that up, darken it, and get it nice and set. And if you've never used this product, I love it because it comes with the contour and the 2 highlights, so I love this little palette. And I'm going to be using my chisel contour brush. So I'm starting at the hairline and bringing it straight down. I don't know if you guys can see a difference in the camera. I feel like I definitely can. I feel like my face looks much more round on this side, whereas this feels a little bit more slim. That's just what I'm noticing, is this tends to look a little bit more slimming versus this, which makes my face look really round and wide. And then I also like to slim down my nose. And then I do a little bit right here to give that button nose effect. And for at the jawline, I am going to be using a fluffy brush just because I kind of want to dust it in versus applying a liberal amount. And then I'm going to be using this just to kind of diffuse that line just a little bit. For blush, I'm going to be using the Shayna B palette. I love this palette. For 2015 Cheyenne, I'm going to be using this highlighting one. And for today, I'm going to be using this matte, applying it right to the apples of my cheeks. It's actually such a pretty shade. I might end up mixing in that matte shade just a little bit because I did like my blush back in 2015. Okay, yeah, I think that is good. And I'm going to be using that same matte shade, which is called Rosa, and I'm going to be doing a figure 8 right here, and then just sweeping back and forth just to blend it out some, and then bringing it in across the face and a little bit on the nose, and gives that really soft, like summery glow. And I also like to just go over it with translucent powder just to make sure everything is nice and blended out. So for highlight, my go-to highlight was Candlelight from Too Faced. I don't have that. I don't purchase anything Too Faced anymore, but I am going to be using this Revolution Pro I See You highlighter that I got several years ago. It is very similar to the Candlelight shade, so I'm going to be using that and applying it very liberally all over the tops of my cheek. And then right here, I'm just going to be applying at the top. And then I also like to do a little bit right at the brow bone on the tip of my nose. Okay, so far I feel like my face looks totally different on each side. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of this so far. I think it looks super crazy, like doing both sides. So for my eyebrows, back in 2015, I used the Benefit Brow Wiz or the Benefit pencil. I forget the name of it. I was working at Sephora when they had their huge release of all of their new brow products, and so I absolutely love their brow pencils. But today though, I'm going to be using the NYX brow pencil for the 2015 side. So obviously I've shaved my brows since 2015. I had my full brow in 2015, so I'm just going to draw my brow on where it normally grows in. And if you're wondering why I shaved my brow, it's because I felt like it did not have like enough lift to it, and it was very like low. I feel like this is still a little higher than it normally grows in, but it will have to do. Honestly, back in 2015, I really hated doing my brows. The only time I would do it is if I was working, and that's because Sephora requires you to have your brows maintained. I absolutely hated doing my brows back in 2015. Obviously, it's a different story. I have fallen in love with doing my brows, and I have a appreciation for how my brows look now. That being said, I'm going to be using my Revolution Pro Silk Brow to maintain my brow and then fill in. It really helps get your brows maintained in place and where you need it to be for when you are about to fill. And I love the soap brow trend. I feel like it has elevated my brow routine completely, and I am here for it. So I think you guys can already see the difference in my brows with how low this one is and how high this one is going to end up being. I have actually fallen in love with brow creams, and this is what I consistently use now. This is the Morphe brow cream. It is in shade Chocolate Mousse, and it is very comparable to the Anastasia brow dip, but way cheaper. It does not cost $20, it actually costs $12, and it has a great consistency. It is 24-hour wear, sweat-proof, waterproof. I love it. It is my favorite brow product as of the moment. So I am starting off with creating the basic shape of my regular brow, and then I'm going to create the tail in a few moments. For the tail, I tried to get the brush as flat as possible so I can get a nice thin tail. And I'm just going to gently pull it across, and you can see that this eye looks way more lifted than this. My brow is like super low. I just love having this higher arch for myself personally. It's just, I just feel like it looks way better than my natural brow, and it makes me happy. And then I am just gently filling, and then using my brush that still has a little bit of wax in it and gently blending. You guys, that looks so different. So I really think 2015 me would go for this Juvia's Place palette. It has so many gorgeous colors in it, and I'm really feeling this one is the go-to one. So I really liked a good colorful smoky eye, so that's pretty much what we're going to be doing with that pink shade, is just kind of patting in and creating that smoky eye. I was known for doing like bright pink smoky eyes, bright yellow smoky eyes, and I did not really use a lot of different shades to create my smoky eye. It was generally just the one shade. I also did very rounded looks with my eyeshadow. I don't know why, but I would just kind of gravitate more to like a rounded shape versus a lifted angular shape. And then I would use a second shade to help blend it out at my brow bone, and that would pretty much be my eyeshadow look for work. I still occasionally like to do bright colors on my lids, but for the most part I do nudes, I do very dark shadow looks. So I am going to be going in with the Revolution Pro Decadent palette, which has these beautiful shades. Look at those. And I actually use several different shades to create my smoky eye. I'm going to do something that will be kind of similar to this shade. So I'm going to be using the shade Scorched right here as a base. And now I like to bring my shadow up and out so it creates that nice cat eye effect. And since I have a much higher arch, I actually have more room to have that highlight shade and just make everything look snatched and beautiful. So next we are going to be going on to the next shade, which we are going to be using the shade Splendid, and we are just gently blending that right on top of the previous shade. I don't know if I want to go darker with this. I think I'm going to go in and add a little bit of the shade Fortuity, and I'm just going to be doing that in the crease just to add a little bit of depth in there so it's not so flat looking. And then also to the outer corner. And then I'm going to be using the shade Plush right there, right on the top of my lid. I'm also be using the shade Plush on the inner corner of my eyes and bringing it to the lower lash line. And using the shade Fortuity just on the tip of the brush and gently bringing that in. So I don't know if you can tell, but this is very round and small, whereas this is going to be very lifted, and I'm not quite done because I am going to be blending it out with some translucent powder. That way the edges are not so heavy. Everything is nice and blended out beautifully. For eyeliner, back in 2015, I used the Stila liquid liner. I'm going to be using the same liner on both sides just because I do not have the Stila liner on hand. 2015 Cheyenne actually did the makeup sin of the year, which is pulling your eye to tighten the skin. I don't do that anymore, so let's see how this comes out. Oh god, I hate that. There are many reasons not to use this technique. One of them is you're not applying liner to your shape of the eye, so it just doesn't generally fit your eye very well. Second, you can transfer your eyeliner to your lower lash line much easier. Really lean towards doing like a shorter wing. And now I actually try to elongate my wing and have it more lifted. That way my eye just appears more open. So I create my general outline, swiping up, and I bring it back down to create that wing shape. And now I'm going to be applying my mascara. I am using the Sky High mascara by Maybelline. I have nothing but good things to say about it. It lengthens the eyelashes really well. It lifts the lashes, creates definition, everything that you would want in a mascara. I would really go with ham on like my lower lash line. Now I just gently kind of add in a little bit of mascara just to create a little bit of definition, but not an insane amount of definition. For lipstick in 2015, I really wore the crap out of Kat Von D's Lolita 2. It was my favorite shade, so I happen to have it, and we're just gonna apply that right on. Alright, so Lolita 2 would go with both sides, but 2021 me is really into the black lipstick by NYX, so we are going to be applying that. Another thing that you might notice, in 2015 I actually overlined the hell out of my lip shape. It's just something that I was so used to doing. I hated my lip shape. I feel like now that I've gotten older, I'm more comfortable with the shape of my face and the shape of my lips. 2015 me also would not ever rock a black lip. So I feel like I've become more confident and more willing to try bold lipstick shades, try new things with makeup that I would have never done back in 2015. I also feel like my skill set has definitely leveled up some since 2015. I have become more bold with my makeup choices. So if you are at a spot right now in your makeup skill set that you're just like, oh man, I'm just not there, don't worry, it's going to take some time, some practice, but you are going to get there and you are going to learn amazing new techniques if you just keep practicing. This is obviously proof to show you how techniques change throughout the years and how as you develop your techniques and your skill set, you can become a better makeup artist or just become better at your own makeup. Alright, you guys, definitely check out some of my other videos. I'm going to link a playlist down in the description, and if there is any product that you liked in this video, be sure to go through the description and check out the links. Alright you guys, I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching.